mention one thing before I get this review started. GPD, the elephant in the room, is warranties with these Chinese companies. So my personal recommendation it would be to buy through Droids if they're available. I know they ship to the UK. I think they're mainly European. They also ship to America, at least the lower 48 states. You'd have to check on Hawaii and Alaska. Again, I'm not too sure. Me personally, I live mainland, so not too sure. But I know for a fact they deliver to the main 48. They deliver to at least the UK. And other than that, as for the warranty, people have had issues. I personally, the only issue I've had with my unit, other than a couple of Windows errors, blue screens, but that's Windows' fault, was the spacebar. Actually, I had to put a piece of masking tape because it wouldn't register properly. But I've heard people have issues with the SSDs. Sometimes they don't use up to par brands like SanDisk, or I don't know if they make SSDs. WD, Kingston, I believe they use sometimes. But again, I would go out and do your own research. This is just my personal feelings and my personal experiences with them. I've had no issues on my WinMax 2. Granted, I did have a couple issues with my Win Mini. However, after sending the right videos and evidence to Droids and GPD, they have both sent me new fans for the Win Mini, which you've seen on this channel. I did a fix video. So I would go through and I would check retailers like Droids. They give you a 2-year GPD warranty, which as of right now, recording that December 2025, not December 2025, December 2024, 2-year warranty. I'm not sure if they'll have the new HX370 models, but they're usually on top of it. I'd give it a week or two. If it's not already up by the time this video is out, I would be surprised. But with that being said, let's move on to some tech specs. We're just going to go over the outside and the technical specifications real quick. This has 2 front-facing speakers, a power button that doubles as a fingerprint sensor. On the right-hand side, we have 2 USB 3.2 ports, 3.0 ports, I'm not too sure. 2 full-size trigger and bumpers with a USB 3 on the 7840U, 7640U, 8840U, and the HX370. This is replaced with an Oculink for eGPU connection, a 3.5mm headphone jack, full-size HDMI, USB 4, and a USB. I want to say that's also USB 4, but it doesn't have the branding, so I'm not too sure. On here we have a full-size, full-depth microSD and full-size SD card, full depth also. Then we also have a full-size fan, 2 programmable ones, a 4G module, and a SSD. This also has a 72 watt-hour battery. On the inside, we have full-size keyboard, full-size controllers. Granted, these are Switch-like analog sticks. I say Switch-like because they use Hall effect sticks. Really good Vita-style D-pad and buttons. Start, select menu, and then we have a little thing over here where you can change the gamepad to keyboard and mouse mode, which is really good for older titles. And then we're going to test this keyboard out in a minute, but you also have a webcam, a very nice, very smooth trackpad, a 2560 by 1600 60 hertz 10.1 inch display, and it also has a microphone built in. So if I miss anything, I will put it up right here. We will be moving on to a typing test. So this will be a quick typing benchmark. All right. So, typos, a little bit, 55 words per minute, showing that this keyboard, once you get used to it, is still really good. But that also depends on how long you've been typing on it. I've been using this for over 2 years. But now that the typing test is done, we will be moving on to the performance, or this will be the audio testing portion. Just doing here with some copyright-free music. But let's give it a listen. This is going to be max volume. And we also have the other classic. At least to my ear, and I'm not an audiophile, so to my ear, it sounds good. It's very loud, nice and bassy, and the treble isn't too bad. So, like, let me just pull up one of my videos so you can give a hear to it just playing a video. Let's do this one. Hello, I'm back again, and we are looking. This seems to be the sequel, and it looks really interesting. So I wonder how big the screen's going to be. I'm thinking it's probably going to be the Legion Ghost screen, 8.8 inches, which. So that's been the audio test portion of this. I'm going to move on. Okay, so this is the performance part of it. This is an Unreal Engine 5 game. It just dropped. It's called Marvel Rivals, and it's running at 40. It's at negative 41 watts. It is a multiplayer game, but then again, this is a 3-year-old chip, so if you're running it on the AI 9, I'm sure you can get either better frame rates or better graphics, all low settings. I'll have it on the screen. But overall, for live service tiles like this, stuff that looks easier to run, stuff like Apex, you're not going to play COD on the 6800U, but if you're running the AI 9 or the 7840U or the 8840U, you should be able to run it. But we're getting about negative 39 watt TSP, which is total system power, at 28 watts TDP. The AI 9 has 35 watt TDP. But we're going to move on to Fortnite and then a controller gameplay test. This is keyboard and mouse, which the keyboard and mouse is pretty good for gaming like this. It's a little cramped, but you get used to it. Venom's dead. Overall, I'm really enjoying Marvel Rivals. I would recommend giving it a try. Apparently it runs on Steam Deck, which explains why it's running on this. And I just need more people to play this because we need Overwatch to die. Example of what wouldn't be good on the 6800U. This game, from what I could tell, if you look up ROG Ally or other 7840U devices, runs fine. But on the 6800U, you're not going to play Black Ops 6. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're going to play a game, the newest and greatest in terms of COD, Battlefield, stuff like that, then the AI 9 is your best chance at future-proofing it. But even with the new drivers that released last week, this game stutters like crazy. And I'm on 28 watt TDP. We're drawing about, this is also lowest settings, FSR3. And we're drawing like 40 watt TSP. And it just doesn't run very good. It starts like, oh, we're getting 40 to 50 FPS, but as soon as you get into it, it's going to start stuttering. And it's unplayable. Plus, the gun isn't even loaded in. And you're like, oh, maybe it'd be better if the shader's pre-cached. I've tried running this game several different times, letting the shaders pre-cache, letting everything happen, and it is just unplayable. You're not playing Black Ops 6 on the 6800U. I'd like to be proven wrong, but judging by the fact that the gun isn't even loaded in, and it's running like a PowerPoint presentation, I don't think you're gonna run it. And I'm not sure what causes this, whether or not it's the fact that I have it on a SD card, which I'm not even sure if I have it on an SD card. I think I have it on the internal. But even on an SD card, it shouldn't run like this. This is Call of Duty, not something massive. So, as you can see, I'm running it at 1000 by 624, less than 1280 by 720. And we're not even getting
it says we're getting 58 FPS, but it's a lie. We stutter a lot. Overall, it says 58 FPS, but that's not what we're getting. We're not getting 58, but I'll see you in Fortnite. Okay, so here we are on Fortnite. Right now I'm on the OG map, but the main Chapter 6 map also runs good. Now with Fortnite, this game kind of runs like ass in general, so you gotta let it load in the textures, or else it'll stutter. I thought it was unplayable on iGPU chips. It turns out you just need to play a match or two to let it load in all the textures, or it will stutter like crazy. But it's not that bad once you get on the map. So let's go. Guess we're going Tomato Town. And as for settings, 1600p, 60 FPS, performance mode, but we are running at 50, which means we're running at 800p, which is just the 16:10 version of 720p. Okay, so now we're landing. And if you're playing like cartoony games like Marvel Rivals or Fortnite, then at 800p or even lower, they don't look bad. So let's just try and find a couple people. I don't think anyone landed here with me. Oh, I hear someone. Shocking. Oh, this guy's tweaking. But Fortnite runs pretty well. Overall, I think if you're just going to play live service games, easier to run stuff like Fortnite, Marvel Rivals. At least if you get the new chip, you should be able to run these at least 1200p. Anyway, that was the performance test for keyboard and mouse games. Just showing that you can play on the keyboard and mouse, even with big hands like myself. So we're going to move on to the controller section of this video. Oh, I forgot to mention, you can probably run it at a better resolution because it's only taking up 24 watts TSP. Okay, so this is going to be a D-pad test for the WinMax 2. We're just going to try a couple inputs and just show how it does. This game is an easier to run one. This is running at, I believe, 1600p. Only 20 watts TSP. So we're going to just try the classic Hadouken. Shoryuken. Oh, wait, no. As you can tell, the D-pad's very responsive. So are the buttons. So you'll have no issues playing fighting games on this. Why does he look like Elvis? Anyway, command list, Ryu, let's see the hardest one. Shoryuken. This is not conductive of how good the D-pad is for that move. I am just bad at inputs. But so far I've had no drops. You can... The D-pads are really easy to roll. So that was the D-pad test. We're going to go into analog shooter test. And rounding out our gaming test, I will be using controllers to play Proteus. Guess we're targeting 120, even though the screen is only 60 hertz. So 40 FPS. I'll turn it down a little bit. For newer games or games that run not as well, I like using 1600 by 1000. It looks better than 800p, and it runs better than 12. Overall, the WinMax 2 is a pretty good device. If you're watching this full review, then you probably have like an inkling of suspicion that you might want it. So I would say just go for it. If you watch this whole review and you're like, I can handle the pros, I can handle the cons, then I would go for it. Because this device has not done me wrong in the 2 years of owning it. Well, that was all for the gameplay test. Now I will be going over just general pros and cons of this device in the next section.
So I've went over typing, performance, controller test, and the specs. Now who do I think this device is for? This device is for someone who wants an all-in-one handheld gaming PC and laptop, who doesn't really need dedicated graphics, someone who's going to play games slower in 720p, someone who's going to play stuff like Fortnite, Marvel Rivals. On the newer models, you could probably play the new Black Ops. Don't hold me to that, though. I am unsure on how that runs on this. But I think this is for the person who wants an all-in-one, wants a netbook, a handheld gaming console, and a media device, because this 10-inch screen is pretty good for media too. Who do I think this is not for? This is not for you if you have money to spend on one handheld and you just want a straight handheld experience. If you want a big screen handheld, I would say go with the Legion Go, the Ionea Kun, the One X Player X1. I don't think GPD is offering any handhelds within that range, but time will tell. Other than that, I've really enjoyed it. This is for you. As I said, if you want an all-in-one, you need something that can push power, because this can push 28 watts of TDP and give you about an hour and a half of battery life with the 72 watt-hour battery in there. Don't get this if you don't like heavy handhelds, you don't need a 10-inch screen, and you just want something specifically for gaming. If you want something specifically for gaming, that's where I would recommend this. If you want the clamshell and you want something specifically to play video games, this is a much better device, 7 inches, same controller, 120 hertz screen that's 1080p, which means you're not going to be pushing it as hard, because 1080p is a lot easier to hit than 1600, which is the 16 by 10 equivalent to 1440p, if I am correct. So that has been all. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. This is kind of something I'm trying more scripted, and I'll see y'all next time. Lobotomized Logan out.